Hi everyone, my name is Lorenzo Loseto. I'm the executive chef of George Restaurant, and I am one of the chefs that participates in the annual fundraiser at the Stop Community Centers. So unfortunately for this year, we did have to cancel, and which means that a lot of the programs that are funded by Big Night, the money we raise at Big Night, are in jeopardy. So if you're in a position that you're able to donate some money or help out in any way, then please do. Please carry on the tradition. I am one of the original chefs that started Big Night. It's one of my favorite events to do it every year, and hopefully we are able to get together next year. The reason I'm here and you're watching me is because every year for the Big Night we do a recipe. So typically we were doing panzerotti or we're doing arancini. Now the arancini are not actually arancini, they're croquette. I made the mistake of calling them arancini the first time I did Big Night, and I had about 100 people come up to me and tell me that there's no potato in arancini. So finally last year we went back and we called them what they're supposed to be called, which is croquette, croquette de mozzarella, right? So they're basically potato rice with fresh mozzarella inside, and I'm going to show you how we do it, and I hope you like it. I'm sure most of you probably have it, probably have your own recipe, your own family recipe. I'm going to show you my family recipe. I was born actually in Puglia, and this is a Pugliese recipe, and it's quite delicious. So we're going to start. So we have rice, the boiled rice, which I already boiled. Now the rice, I know the pasta is al dente, but the rice you want it a little bit more than al dente. You want it soft but not mush, so you can sort of see this is perfect. It's not waterlogged and it's not crunchy. So the worst thing you want to do is just crunch into rice when you're cooking it. All right, so we're going to put that in the bowl. And now we have our potato. You don't have to mash it or anything. You just boil it. Right, and you just take a large spoon and you just want to take it and just mash it a little bit. Okay? And you want to add the potato. The recipe is quite flexible with the amount of rice and potato. Parmigiano Reggiano, grated. You can always change the cheese, but I think the Parm is a good sort of balance to work well with the mozzarella. You don't want anything too sharp. The Italian parsley, you want to keep it quite large. You don't want to chop it so that you lose all the flavor and all the water comes out. So I have a little extra than I needed. I'm just not going to put that on. The other thing we need is 2 eggs, so I'm going to add the eggs. And then we're just going to check the oil so I can fry it for you guys. Okay, so the oil is good. When it burns your finger, it means it's good. All right, so we have breadcrumbs. Now, typically we don't use the seasoned breadcrumbs, we just use plain Italian breadcrumbs. I'm using the panko because I just think they're nice and light. I have untoasted fennel seeds that are buzzed, sort of ground, and not too fine, but you want to put a little bit of that in there. You don't have to put the fennel seed if it's, it's not traditional. The fennel seed is the only thing that's not traditional and wasn't passed down. So, but I just like it in there. So what you want to do is you want to get some gloves on. You want to take it, you just want to mix it. Okay, and you want to mix it to a point where it's sticking together, but you don't want it overworked. So you want to taste all these sort of elements, and the elements sort of blend together. The odd piece of potato that you find in it, because it's not quite mashed, it's fine, right? The key is you want to keep the mozzarella inside, and you want it to be nice and light. When you make the potatoes, right, you want to make sure that, and the rice, you want to make sure it never hits the fridge. So you boil the rice, you can let it cool. Obviously this is cool, covered, right, until it becomes room temperature. And then the potato, the same thing, room temperature. You never put your potatoes in the fridge, or else this won't work. Okay, it won't stick, it won't be as sticky. Once it sort of bites, you can see you can sort of make a ball. That's all you're looking for. We're gonna make larger ones. Typically at the event, we deep fry them just because there's 400 people plus. And you don't want it to take forever, all right? So, but traditionally, we shallow fry them in olive oil. So I have my olive oil on, and we make it a little bit bigger as well. These are about 40 grams, all right? You don't have to weigh it. And the mozzarella that we're putting in, they're about 10 grams. All right, so we're gonna do 4. A little advice, when you're breading anything, you wanna make sure you start with a little less. You don't want too much of the breadcrumb, because after it's wasted, you're gonna throw it out. You can always add more or take a new tray, but you can't, once you contaminate it, you obviously have to throw it out. Okay, so you just want to make a little well, These are going to be rectangle. Typically, they're rectangle. For the event, we do them round. You want to put the mozzarella. Now the mozzarella, if you're buying a supermarket mozzarella, I would recommend the Trestella one. If you have the opportunity to get you know, a nice bocconcini or a nice fresh mozzarella from Italy or even here, that would be ideal. But if you have to just run into the supermarket and grab one, then you want to use the Trestella brand. Now the thing is, you want to put so much mozzarella that it seems like you won't be able to close it, and that's what you do. Now typically what we serve it with in the house is minestrone. So we start off with the minestrone always. We finish with the croquette. As they're coming out of the oil, we're eating them like right away. Like you want the mozzarella to be nice and gooey. And the key obviously here is the texture of the rice, the herbs, right, and the mozzarella you buy inside. So the better the mozzarella, the better it's going to be. Just take them, right, and you roll them in the breadcrumbs and they'll stick right away. And now once you have them in the breadcrumbs, you're going to fry them. We're frying these, I suppose about 350. You want to make sure you don't poke a hole in them. It's kind of weird to be here in the kitchen all by myself with one other person taking the film. So hopefully we can be open soon and we'll go back to having the events and you can come back and visit the restaurant. Now we are frying them in olive oil, like I mentioned. Okay, so once they're nice and golden, we're going to take these out. Okay, so you can see they're perfect. The mozzarella is just starting to come out. Right? They don't have too much breadcrumb on it, and they look delicious. And you don't need salt on them. If you season the potato and the rice properly, you won't need any extra salt. And you always have that one person at the table. Well, you're not gonna have many people at the table until everything goes back to normal, but you always have one person that asks for that salt even before they taste it. But you're not gonna need salt on these. Thanks everyone for watching the croquet video. Thank you as well for supporting the stop. And we look forward to seeing all of you back at Big Night next year, 2021. It's gonna be exciting. Stay safe and hope to see you at the restaurant.